Hey everybody, my name is Jenny Bierak, and I hope you guys can see me okay. I know the lighting is terrible out here. I really wanted to make this video in the sunshine because it's been so elusive lately. I know I talk to it's not just the Midwest. I know I have clients in the Northeast, and you guys get our weather a day or two later. Like I said, my friend in Italy, they're still having an exorbitant amount of rain. And yeah, it's just been, we haven't gone a 24-hour cycle without a lot of rain. And it's been cold too. In the woods the other day, it was only 60 Fahrenheit and I got bitten everywhere. So the mosquitoes are already out in full force, and they've grown up very quickly. They were landing on me like, hi. They were so big. So anyway, I'm wondering how everyone's doing, and I'm looking forward to seeing in the comments what you'll have to say about what's been happening for you since the full moon in Scorpio a couple weeks ago. I know it was extremely intense. I had people close to me who had very serious things happen during that week. I myself have, decided that maybe to let some people go, a couple of people go that just were, I have it all the time with this. I'm still a work in progress, just as you all are as well, I know. And I just have a habit of forming relationships with people who don't reciprocate, and usually don't even see that they don't reciprocate. So it was in my 7th house of partners. And it was actually on my planet Neptune. And so I had a dream that night that explained to me, I've been going through, and I've talked about it a little bit, pretty much this whole year. I've had a really hard time. Solar returns, I find, are useful just to kind of give people an idea of what's happening. So in my solar return this year, the South Node is conjunct my ascendant, which first of all means that, your ascendant is your face, and so I've aged quite a bit. But also my South Node, so when you look at a solar return, you look at what's happening in the chart of the solar return, and then also use your natal chart and see what's happening with the planets there, because that'll give you a better idea of reference, like what exactly is going to come up. And with the South Node in Virgo, that can be depression. And even the coming year, this next year coming up, also looks like that. So I know what I'm up against, and that's not a new thing for me. And that's sort of just the genetic, that's another DNA story. But I don't, I have a lot of tools now that I use. And I just, I wasn't using the tools right. And Metatron is reminding me that I had become very overwhelmed with, I was working on 40 to 44 people a week a lot of this year, and it was too much. And I love doing it. It isn't that I don't like doing it. It's just that you have to it has to come back in. You have to be, when we're doing things like that and we're using our masculine where we're going, and we're not in the receptive mode, in the feminine mode where we're allowing ourselves to receive. And so when you just create an imbalance, and then it plays out in every way. It plays out. So for me, it manifested with depression. So it was nice to have that dream, and the dream was related to my twin flame story. And so I'm going to do a meditation for the twin flames after this video. I'm not sure if it'll be today, but sometime within the next few days, I'm going to put that video out, because I know when things like that come up for me, that it means that I need to address it with everyone. So the masculine is really going through a rough time now, as we all are with Mars in Cancer, but more so men. And men also, Mars in Cancer, and this isn't just true for men, but Mars in Cancer is typically where you're unable to share your emotion, and where you have that pain that's way deep down and you internalize it. And with all of the aspects that we have happening now, there can be a lot of escapism with that, like drug use, alcohol use. But really, you know, Neptune covers all kinds of escapism. And with the Jupiter-Neptune square that we have playing out all year, that's going to exacerbate addiction and the need to escape, and also feelings of isolation and hopelessness, because that's lower Neptune. And when you're talking about planets squaring, typically we work through the lower energies before we come to the higher. We can always reach for the higher vibration, because Jupiter square Neptune is also limitless possibilities. And, you know, it's about faith. I've talked about how this can also be people getting all caught up in celebrity nonsense and gurus, any kind of zealots. Conspiracy theories seem to be off the charts these days. So we have all of that energy that we're contending with. We have the South Node traveling with Saturn, which is making us tired and grumpy for a lot of us, or there are just days that that's going on. Of course, it's going to play out different way in everyone's charts, but no one's going to escape that. And, you know, somebody was like, I feel so great. And I feel so great, too, a lot of days. I'm not saying that, you know, every day I was crying, but the days that I was in bad shape, I was in really bad shape. And so, yeah, we are all dealing in our own way with feeling insecure, and dealing with like different things of foundation and structures, even if it's the government for you. That's part of this story too, of Saturn, institutions and governments, and just the way that we think we have things plotted out and things that we count on to keep things moving, to keep things going. Saturn is the mountain, and you know, he's the mountain that we have to climb while we're building our legacy, and also the mountain as our legacy, what we are leaving on the planet after we go, what's left behind. So for some of us, that's our children. For some of us, it's our work. It's what we are creating. This Neptune square Jupiter is also a great time for artists, especially with what's been playing out recently with Venus and Mercury. In relation to that, this can be an inspiration, and you know, where you're able to create things that you wouldn't have imagined before, and to see a higher vision for your life, to take the higher perspective. So it isn't all bad news, but typically we do work through, you know, it's a spiral. It's not a path that we're on. So sometimes we think things are completely finished, and they're actually, that was just a first go around, and then we come back to it. And it's not always time to have the healing right when we want it. I mean, I did healings all the way through. I talked to Metatron, and after I had the dream that explained everything, I wasn't happy with him that he didn't tell me, you know, because I knew something was going on. And I mean, something more than what we were working on. I knew that there was some underlying reason, and I wasn't getting an answer, but he just said that it was imperative that my twin flame and I had that experience together, because we may have, you know, there was also, we're going to talk about it in the twin flame video more, but now with what Juno, the asteroid of partnership, is doing in the sky, and I didn't look at that right before I got on. He hit the fixed star Sirius. No, he didn't. He hit Aldebaran. Anyway, and we started a gateway where, you know, it's possible to come into union. And I was saying to my friend Amanda, with Saturn conjunct the South Node, you know, coming together with anyone could be fraught with a lot of challenges. I don't know that I'm actually up to that, and so I'm fine with where I am. But yeah, it's possible. Now, there is a gateway open, and I think it's really important, especially with Mars and Cancer, that we do this healing, because we could be connecting to our partners with the lower vibration, where we're processing one another's sadness, and it isn't. What happens then is that it feeds into each other, and it just gets more and more exaggerated, and it doesn't help anybody. So so let's talk about the new moon that we have coming on June 3rd. It is in Gemini at 12 degrees and 33 minutes. That's a 333, the Ascended Masters number. It's also a 9, so again, there's some story of things being completed. Now, the last time that Jupiter was in Sagittarius and Mercury was in Gemini was 12 years ago. So I know for me, 2007 was very significant. And also, you know, this also depends, but there should have been at some point during that year, some cycle that was started, because Mercury relates to cycles, that now will be tweaked in some way. It could be a whole new cycle that comes in, or just, you know, there's an adjustment made and the way that we're relating to a situation could be different. It could be that our beliefs are completely different. The structures, the foundations, the things that we believed in, that we thought were such a strong part of us, that we're letting go of those things and coming into the higher vibration and, you know, releasing. This is a, you know, when Jupiter and Pluto and Saturn are all retrograde, we are all in a period of releasing. So, you know, it could just be that there's things that we need to let go that, you know, had started back then. But this is a time when we're going to be starting out with new cycles, okay? New beginnings. And we've got Venus. Then, okay, so let's finish talking about Aldebaran. Aldebaran is, I talk about the 4 royal fixed stars a lot. Aldebaran is the watcher of the east, and he is associated with Archangel Michael. He's considered Archangel Michael's fixed star. It's actually in the constellation of Taurus. It's the eye of the bull, the bull's eye. So when you hear, you know, the expression the bullseye, that it's in reference, it goes back to that star. But that star moved to the sign of Gemini around the time of the Crusades, okay? And it stands for Archangel Michael. So it's about, and in Gemini, communication. So speaking your truth, also hearing the truth. And Gemini is tricky. Gemini is a very tricky sign. Mercury, the trickster, rules Gemini. And I heard another astrologer, I listened to other astrologers while I'm walking in the woods, and I heard her say that her sister, who was a Gemini, would always blame her for things that went on when they were little kids and didn't take responsibility for what she had done. I don't think it's so much, because Geminis get a really bad rap. Like, we have this meme that's floating around on Facebook that says, ancient astrologer curse, may all of your children be Aries and all of your lovers be Gemini. Because they do show us, what they want us to see, typically. And remember, everyone has a Mercury in their chart, and everyone has the sign of Gemini in their chart. So I'm not picking on Gemini suns. You know, I have a lot of clients who are Gemini suns. I have, one of my parents was a Gemini rising, extremely intelligent, and Gemini rules 2 of my houses. So nothing against Gemini, but Metatron was comparing it to the raccoon, and this is what happened when I found out that that person who I had thought was a good friend of mine wasn't a good friend. A raccoon appeared at the end of my driveway, and we do have a lot of animals, and it's not that unusual, but I know when something comes to the end of the driveway that it's most likely a message for me, and that refers to the disguise that people can wear. And Gemini, it's the sign of the lovers, the twins. So it's the card of the lovers in the tarot, where we're given choices, okay? And and it's all different kinds of choices. It's the choice, what voice are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to the voice of ego, or are you going to listen to the voice of highest truth? With Gemini, and you can see it in everyone's chart, that could be in the 3rd house or in the constellation of Gemini, or with your Mercury, where you believe that you're hearing the voice of, you know, the creator, or the voice of love, but that voice happens to be, you know, sharing somebody else's story with you, or saying something not so nice about someone. And we can really fool ourselves with Gemini too. We can really turn a blind eye and not realize at all, you know, what the truth is. And that's what Michael is about. So really asking for his protection and his direction and guidance right now with everything that's happening with Neptune and Jupiter. There could be a lot of confusion for us, and also just feeling like we're off course, and, you know, like what's the point? There's no point. I mean, it's rough out there. I'm not gonna, you know, dress it up. It is rough. And this is what I said months ago, that it's time to enact all of everything that we learned at the, you know, workshops that we went to, all of the breathing techniques that we practiced, the meditation practice, all of the things that we've learned through the years to help us remain strong and to keep our vibration high, to pamper ourselves, to tell ourselves a nice story. With that Neptune, Jupiter, the negative thinking, and with Mercury in opposition to Jupiter, the negative thinking can spiral so quickly, and you can just get pulled down so fast in this energy. And so I've asked Michael, you know, he's in my space, because if we have any kind of issues of insecurity, like if you had a bad relationship with your mother, or you weren't nurtured in the way that, you know, we would like to be nurtured as a child, then this is rough. You know, it's super rough, because we've got Mars in Cancer, the North Node in Cancer, and all of us are feeling insecure in some way. I don't care what your relationship was with your mom. There's some kind of insecurity issues, because we're millions of years old, and chances are that maybe you haven't cleaned up all of them. But yeah, it's just remembering coming into that place. Metatron's been talking to me all week of coming into that place of inner sanctuary. And part of that, the way that I've been doing that, is I've asked Michael, while he's in my space, he's feeding me songs all the time. So when I start having a sad thought, which this happened this morning, he starts playing some really upbeat, happy songs to just get my attention. Like, oh no, I don't want to go there, you know, and steer me to thinking of happier things. So that's a good way to handle that. And I know it's not easy. You know, I was in the car crying a few months ago while I was driving to the woods, and a song came on the radio, and they were like, just sing, just sing. And I was like, oh. I mean, I really didn't want to do it, but I did. And you know what? It works. It always works. Their advice is always good advice, so I try to follow it every now and again. But this new moon is with the fixed star Aldebaran, Archangel Michael's star, and then Mercury, who is ruling this new moon. Mercury is way out of bounds. I put this post on Facebook that I believe it was the 25th of May that Mercury went out of bounds, and I've talked about that before, where the planets, by declination, they travel, you know, from the equator. The sun is as high and as low as it is at the solstices, and that's called the path of the sun. And sometimes the planets travel north or south of that, and then they're what's called out of bounds. And what it does is it diminishes them. But with Mercury, and what Metatron was talking about, was more like a reset, because Mercury rules cycles, okay, and the rhythms of how we flow with the Creator, with all that is, okay? And so this is a reset, and it could relate to 12 years ago. Doesn't necessarily mean that it will be something from 12 years ago, but there's a reset in a cycle for everybody right now. Also Mars, which is our ambition and drive, and what, you know, once the new moon is seated, then we take that Mars fire to create and to move down the path that we want to, you know, where we're going to create what it is that we've seeded or work toward it. Mars is also very far out of bounds, and he's in his least favorite sign. Mars prefers, of everywhere else, over Aries and over Scorpio, he prefers Capricorn, because he likes climbing that mountain. He wants to go flying up that mountain. That's where I have Mars, at the degree of exaltation. That's where he's exalted, in Capricorn at 28 degrees. And while he's in Cancer, he's in his least favorite sign. And because Cancer is more about feeling and security and comfort. And with Mars there, if you have that placement, or with Mars in the 4th house, then there is an issue where there isn't that feeling of safety and security. And so, you know, like I said, we're all dealing with those feelings. But also Mars how can he get us where he's going? He's stuck in the water in, you know, Cancer. So I know it feels like, you know, what's going on, like what's happening, things aren't moving, or maybe they are for you. Maybe you're having a completely different experience. But the people that I've talked to recently are all having like past issues, past hurts coming up, because it's time to get those dealt with. Otherwise, we're not able to move forward in the way that we're getting ready to move forward. Because really, I feel like this year, you know, last year I felt like it brought up a lot of things, and there was like an impetus for change. And I feel like this year we're kind of cleaning up where we need to clean up and do some resets and fine tuning, so that once this Saturn South Node Pluto, or Saturn Pluto conjunction in January is finished, then we'll be able to move forward on a fresh path, new landscape, fresh landscape, is what Metatron is saying. So Mercury, that's ruling this new moon, is conjunct the fixed star Betelgeuse, and that is, it's a Jupiter Saturn, so it's the you know, Jupiter wants us to go further, go higher, learn more, has no limits. And then Saturn is what brings structure to that, whatever Jupiter's adventures and exploration, Saturn brings structure to. And Betelgeuse is strong and dignified in nature. It gives self-confidence, prosperity in trade. And then just when we're talking about the collective, it also it has to do with producing large storms. And all last year, every moon event that we had was water. Every kind of asteroid that pointed to water, every time, you know, I looked at the way to do the houses and shift things in different parts of the world, it was always significant with the water. And I do, you know, I mean, we've all been going through, no, not all of us, but a lot of us in the United States anyway, especially in the Midwest, have been contending with flooding. Not, you know, we don't have it in Illinois. Like, I think it's Oklahoma that's pretty much underwater. I know there's a lot of states, a lot of farmers are saying that they're not going to be able to plant if this doesn't change within the next few weeks. So we'll see what happens. The farmers are really getting it between the tariffs and that. Let me know in the comments, because, you know, I know a lot of you are watching in Europe and Australia. Let me know what you guys have been contending with for weather events too, because I do know about Italy, but I haven't heard anything about the UK. And I haven't heard, I talked to someone in Spain, and she didn't mention anything yesterday, so I don't know what it's like for you guys over there. But over here, we're having a lot of water events. And even in the United Kingdom, a lot of the charts for the moons last year, every single one of the charts for the moons last year showed a lot of confusion and like not knowing what the heck is going on in the public. And so I was saying to Amanda that I would not be surprised if this goes on through next year. But I haven't asked Metatron, and who knows if he would answer me. But I'm just putting that out there because I know a lot of you in the UK watch me. So just so you know, it could be a long, drawn-out process. So what else did I want to mention? On the 4th then, just after this new moon, Venus will come into a trine with Saturn and then Pluto. So when planets speak in a trine, it's an easy flow of energy. Doesn't necessarily mean it's an easy thing to deal with, especially when you're talking about Saturn and Pluto. But it's definitely an easy flow of energy. Be careful this month in June with overspending, okay? Because then Venus is going to move on the 8th of June to Gemini, and with everything that we have, everything else going on with that, Neptune and Jupiter, we could, and Mercury being out of bounds, we could really overspend. That's what that says. Also, like I said, great aspect for art. I know a lot of you are singers and artists a lot of my clients are singers and artists. So it's wonderful for that, but not so much for, you know, if you all of a sudden have to have a boat, maybe wait, maybe wait, on the boat. And it's funny I said boat, isn't it? I don't know why I said that. And then Mars is going to be out of bounds. Now this week, the week that we're, the second week of June is serious. It's the week, it's leading up to the full moon in Sagittarius. We've got Mars out of bounds until June 12th, which is basically the same time that he comes into conjunction with the North Node of Fate. The North Node of Fate in the mundane chart, the 4th house, is about climate change events. So we'll see what happens, but that's also right after that then, like right after that happens on the 14th. So these energies, because we're talking about Neptune and Jupiter, they come exact on the 14th, but you feel that moving right along. Like that's not going to, you know, you're not going to feel that all of a sudden one day. That's a long buildup, and we're probably already feeling it because pretty much all year they're loosely in square. But Jupiter and Neptune will square, and again, you know, Jupiter being the ancient ruler of Pisces, water, Neptune being the ruler of Pisces, water, typically the ocean's there, but yeah, we'll see. And then Mercury is out of bounds until the 18th of June. And the 17th, we've got the full moon that comes up in Sagittarius. And for the full moon, Mars and Mercury are together, and they're opposing that Saturn, Pluto, South Node configuration. So it's a very serious full moon. And then, of course, on July 2nd, we have our first eclipse, the new Moon Solar Eclipse, that will take place in Cancer. So when a lot of you that have Cancer planets, really take care of yourselves. Be careful with yourselves, because you have a lot of things happening. You have all these eclipses coming, and then you've got that Saturn, Pluto, South Node happening that's, you know, opposing your planets in Cancer. So really take care of yourselves and make sure that you're nurturing yourself, is what Metatron is saying. So I didn't intentionally pull cards, but it's funny. I picked up a box of cards and I opened it, and the cards fell out when I was doing my meditation this morning, and I was like, oh, these happen to be perfect for the video I'm making. So yeah, we're gonna do the cards. Oh shoot. Okay, so this is the Sacred Traveler Oracle cards by Denise Linn, and this is the first card that Metatron gave me. Crossing, can you see that? Crossing bridges. It's time for healing, connecting, mending, and releasing. Crossing bridges is a way to let go of the past and begin a new cycle in life. A heartfelt change is ahead. It's time for healing old wounds with people and situations. It's time to forgive and let go of the past. Do whatever you need to do to make amends, and then let it all go. If there is anything unresolved in your life, take steps to restore and reconcile. You may even need to burn your bridges behind you. Heal the rifts within yourself and help others traverse bridges in their lives. When the traveler crosses a bridge, a new land awaits on the other side. You are ready to cross a bridge or bridge a gap in your life. There are times to step away from certain people and situations. There are also times to carefully mend bridges with people, situations, and places, and then go forward. This is one of those powerful healing times to choose. Maybe there is a wound inside of you that needs to be forgiven or accepted. Transform the inner grievance. Forgive. Let it go. Do it now. You no longer need to carry it with you. Perhaps there is a person from your past with whom you should reconnect or release completely. You know what you need to do, and this is the time to do it. So that's Mars in Cancer. Well, and all of pretty much everything else that I said too. That's perfect for what's happening now with the astrology. And then this, what Metatron's been talking to me about all week, finding sanctuary. A new day has begun in your life. You are at the beginning of a new cycle. It's time to release the old and start again. Wipe the slate clean. Although it's often difficult to release familiar routines, situations, or relationships that no longer empower you, it's now time to set your sights on the future and let go of the past. The traveler faces east toward the sunrise and affirms that a new day and a new cycle have begun. New beginnings are often fraught with the unknown, yet the sacred traveler has observed on the extended journey that life goes in a cycle. In the cycle of life, the plants die in the autumn, so there can be new birth in the spring. The sun rises and the sun sets. It's the universal dance of death and rebirth. There's a time to end and begin. In your life, it's the close of one cycle and the beginning of another. Face fear about the unknown and be willing to begin anew. You will succeed. You know, this is all that Saturn, Pluto, and Uranus too. They want us to just let go, like just release and let go. Stop trying to hold on so hard to things that don't serve you anymore and things that don't work. And that includes habits, you know, things that are clearly not helping us, that it's time to turn over a new leaf with. And then ascending the mountain. The journey might be hard right now, but a great view awaits you. You most certainly can achieve your goal. However, you must continue forward through hard work and diligence. Do not give up. Even if it seems hard, keep going forward. Even if it sometimes seems that you are going up 3 steps and falling back 2, you are still getting closer to your goal. Sometimes you may need to take smaller steps, but do not stop. Every step takes you closer to the peak of the mountain, and when you arrive, the view will be spectacular. It will be worth all your hard effort. It's okay to stumble or fall down, just don't stay down. Do not allow yourself to be limited by the beliefs of others or even by your own limiting beliefs or fears. Go beyond boundaries of self-imposed barriers. Live passionately and courageously. Keep moving forward fearlessly. Speak up for yourself. Honor your truth. This isn't the time to be timid or hold back. Go forward gallantly with your banner of truth waving in the wind. You are a light bearer for others. So that's really encouraging. And yeah, I had a lot of days when I was crawling. But I said, you know, I always would say to them, I need you to carry me. Like, I can't make it through this day. I'm not going to make it through this week. You need to carry me because I can't do it myself. And they are always there and helping when you ask for that. Also, just going within and seeing your heart, seeing the light coming into your heart, and then imagining that light coming from your heart and extending to the heart of everyone else. Just seeing it go out to the animals, the plants, the earth, and the light, that, you know, the Creator's light. And remembering that we're all connected and you're never alone. That's an illusion. It's impossible for you to be alone. You are the universe. It's all inside you. So I know, you guys, that it's rough out there, but you know, we can do this. We can do this, right? That's why we volunteered to come here now, because we're badass. So anyway, everybody, I'm gonna make that video for the twin flame healing hopefully over the weekend. And then the Sisterhood of the Emerald Fire is 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. It's in the description box below. The link to Zoom. It's free. I hope that, you know, I appreciate so much everyone that's dedicated enough to give a little bit of time to sending the healing energy through the earth. And I appreciate Martha Judith, who will be helping me out with that this Sunday, if we can figure out the technical aspect of how we're going to do that. But yeah, and I will get those classes uploaded. I don't have any client sessions this month in June, so I'll have time to get my classes uploaded to Vimeo. And then in August, there will be a class for a weekend. It's not going to be like a 6-week commitment where it was an hour every Sunday afternoon. it ended up being like a few hours for 4, I think, Sunday afternoons because I was sick. But that class will be on the Gemini Sagittarius axis. So, and that will be really exciting because that's, you know, vibrational therapy, sound therapy, you know, sound healing and vibration and color. That's all covered by Gemini. And then Jupiter making that public, coming into higher wisdom. So I'm excited for that class coming in August. And that will be probably mid to late August, but I will let you know when I get those dates nailed down. All right, everybody, really take care of yourselves. I love you guys, and I really appreciate all of the sweet emails that you send me and the comments on YouTube and on Facebook as well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.